Hey guys, security in Chromebooks. How good is it? Let's talk about this. So from factory default, you're going to sign into your brand new Chromebook and you're going to set it up with your Google account. So for your YouTube, your Gmail, and all that other, sign into Chrome so you can get all your favorites in there too and all that jazz, right? All right, so you're also going to have to set up a 6-digit PIN, okay, which is numbers. Now, every time you boot the computer fresh, right, from powered off, you're going to be greeted at the login screen to put in your 6-digit code. Then you get to the alleged sorted desktop. It's Chrome. It's not Windows or Mac. It's Chrome. Anyway, now the problem is, from factory default, this thing can be closed for hours. In fact, I left mine closed for over 3 hours today as an experiment because I wanted to see what would happen. Because as you know, that by factory default with a Mac or a Windows laptop, in this case of talking laptops, when you open it up, you're greeted with this, and you got to type in a password. Now, this is a Mac computer, yes, but it's running Windows 10. So that's kind of the normal thing, and yeah, you got to get into it. Now, we've already discussed how vulnerable Windows computers are, and that it's way too easy to just wipe them out and reset them and take them to your local pawn shop and sell it. So thieves love stealing PCs, okay? Because they also know that 99.98% of the population is clueless and doesn't know how to set up any kind of extra security above that could protect themselves. But then again, is there such security? Not that I've ever discovered, so yeah, easy peasy, no problem. But those that want to get at your data are generally the hackers. They want to get at your data. They want to get at your bank accounts, your credit cards. Well, they can do that via the internet. They can hack the credit card companies. They can hack the banks. It's been done lots of times. Hacking the cloud for stuff too. So do they really care that much about the junk that's on here if they're stealing this thing to get some fast cash? Heck no. They just want to reload it. Macs are, of course, the ones that become the e-waste of the world, because any Macintosh computer that has a T2 security chip or above, well, best of luck to you, because they turn into bricks when you try and do that and you don't have that person's actual information required to even remove it from their account, let alone even attempting to sign out. You still need their Apple ID password, which you won't have. So yeah, kudos to Apple for having probably the best security of everybody so far. So, but by default from the factory, every time you lift this lid open on your Chromebook, you have nothing to sign into. But I'm going to help you give yourself some extra security. It may drive you mental in this case, only because every time you boot up your computer, you're going to need that 6-digit code. Every time you close the computer and go to reopen it again, you will then again need that 6-digit code again, just to unlock your desktop so you can do stuff. But would you rather have your stuff safe and secure or not? Take your pick. Because here's the deal. Because people don't take the extra step, which Google does not turn on by default, okay, this is a vulnerability, a huge one. Because all I have to do, or all a thief has to do, okay, is actually go right into System Settings, and they go into Accessibility, and into Advanced down below there, and they go to what's called Reset Settings, called Power Wash. Power Wash. Remove all user accounts and reset your Google Chrome device to be just like new again. So you don't even have to sign out, and it forces you out because it just resets the whole thing, whether you like it or not. There's no Find My system on here like Android devices tend to have, which quite impressed, by the way, that Android did that. They're actually starting to follow the Apple pathway and making frickin' e-waste for us. Anyways, that's another story. So, but these things, on the other hand, yeah, pretty simple. You just hit reset, tell it to restart, and it is going to wipe this baby naked and set it up just like it came out of the box, brand spanking new for the very first time. No passwords, no user IDs, none of it's required. Okay? And you can thank Google for this little security breach by default. Now, if you want to be able to make your device more secure, okay, no guarantee though, because there is another way to get through these books. Okay, lock screen and sign in. If you click on here, it wants you to confirm your password, and it says here, enter your password to configure security and sign in. That is going to be your Google Chrome account password, not your 6-digit one, but your regular Google Chrome password. That's what it wants to unlock this. Now from here you can do a couple things. You can go to the top of the menu and you can turn on that extra level of security so that every time you close that lid and open it again, you have to type in a 6-digit passcode, further securing your system. Okay? Or you can say, I don't want the passcode anymore. I'm sick and tired of typing that in. Congratulations. You've now discovered your next level of horror. Okay? And I mean the frightening kind here, not the other. You know what I mean. Anyways, so what's going to happen is you're going to remove that. You're going to say, I don't want it anymore, right? No problem. Piece of cake. So restart it, shut it down. I could care less. But guess what happens? You get a new login screen that has a familiar look. And it's going to be one of those where, now here I only type in a 6-digit. But on that, you're going to take your long encrypted passcode for your Google Chrome account, and you'll have to put that into this thing every time you boot up the computer. And furthering to that, every time you close the lid and open it again, you'll have to use the same password. It just alternates your method of signing in. Okay? So I'm like, that's kind of ridiculous. I'll stick with my 6-digit code. Thank you. Okay? So now, the only other way I know that these systems might be able to be breached, at least off-internet type of breaching, would be the simple fact that you can actually make a Chrome install USB stick and start up the computer with that and reload or restore your computer this way, your Chromebook, right? Now, if that's the case, and we don't need to sign out, we don't need any passwords of any kind to reset it at this level where we're at right now at the screen, if we don't need it there, we're probably not going to need it with the USB stick. However, I will investigate that for you guys and girls and find that out for you. And should it be proven to be just as insecure as a Windows computer, well, then we have another way that these things can be wiped and then resold, and no one's none the wiser that it's a stolen machine at that point. Okay? It is surprising how much stolen stuff is actually in pawn shops, and there's no way of knowing that it actually is a stolen device unless somebody's reported to the cops, the passwords and all that. I seen a guy, he had a new enough MacBook. It got stolen from him at the school in North Bay. And I just told him, you're never seeing that thing again. Like, it's gone, man. Even if it's cloud locked, it's gone. You could erase your stuff, which, you know, I think he said he did erase it, and he gave the cops the info, but that really doesn't help matters out much. You got to get the pawn shops in on this, and the cops are only going to go to local pawn shops in the area. They're not going to go outside of the area. So they're going to call the local guys, give them the serial number. Now, if the serial number has been scratched off of the bottom of the MacBook, well, then they're going to have to go in, get into it to the About This Mac. The thing is this thing is hot, and the pawn shops won't even touch it because it's going to be cloud locked because the guy erased it. He had Find My turned on. So it's an e-waste book at this point, okay? And until such day as he feels like it, for turning off and removing it from his account, it'll stay that way. So you know who the real people are that are the problem with the e-waste is not Apple and their super tight security. It's all the people that steal MacBooks. That's one problem, okay, that causes e-waste. But the other problem is any legit sales where they said that it actually is a legit system. They're like, I forgot my stuff. You don't matter if you forget your stuff. You call Apple and, you know, you say, look, I forgot my stuff. I need help getting back into my account and restoring my account, right? Apple will help you out if your information they ask you for over the phone checks out. If it doesn't check out, then no, they're not going to help you, obviously. They'll only help the person who has all the info. And besides, you can reset your password regardless with Apple. You know, okay, you just got to answer certain security questions and whatnot, right? But anyways, Android is locked up pretty darn tight. I'm impressed with Android. But at the same time, with Android, if you sign out of an Android device, even if your Find My is still turned on, here's the tricky part, and I've mentioned it before. On Android, you have the Find My, at least on the OS I worked on a tablet, and it had this. So the person had signed out, their email address is still there, just no password, no sign in, it's signed out of. Find My was still turned on, and I couldn't do a reset of the system to factory new until I turned off the Find My. Now on Android, the stupid part is that you can just turn off Find My. It makes no difference. You're not asked for a password. Like with Apple, to turn off Find My, you must supply your password or it is not going to turn it off, nor can you remove that thing from your account until it's turned off. Android, it works a little bit differently. If you had the Find My system turned on, great, but it doesn't require a password to turn it off, especially after you've already signed out. So once it is turned off, then you can reset it to as if it just came out of the box new. These, all you need to do is get access this far. That's all you need. You go in, you hit reset, power wash, and it's a done deed, and nobody has to even be signed out. And of course, by the way, while they're in here, anything you do have saved internally on this, they can easily access. The other thing is none of this data in here is encrypted. So, yeah, a lot of security there, isn't there? Well, at least they haven't been hacked over the internet yet, apparently, but they can still get malware and viruses like any other computer can. And eventually somebody's going to figure out how to hack it over the internet. You know, I mean, it's just a matter of time and figuring out the OS well enough and whether or not it's worth bothering with. Now, in my opinion, Chromebooks aren't worth bothering with. You know, if anything, people are going to steal them. They're going to reset them if they're resettable, especially if they're turned on and they can get through to that screen. So my advice to you is turn on that extra level of security so that, you know, every time you lift this lid, you're greeted with the same password request as you are when you first fire up the machine, and that will at least stop them from being able to reset it. Also, in order for them to turn off that security thing, they have to be able to A, get into your computer, and B, you've got to supply that Google Chrome password to get into the security thing, either way, to turn that extra level on or off. Google should actually have it set up from default that it is always on to give you that extra optimal security. Because right now Google says, we can't be hacked, we can't be virused or malwared. Well, I have news for you that there has been incidents of malware and viruses on Chrome. However, there just hasn't been anybody who's literally hacked these things yet, at least the last time I checked the internet. So, but that'll change. We'll find out. That's not a problem. If they can hack the cloud, they can hack a bank account, they can hack credit cards. What's stopping them from hacking a Chromebook other than the fact that maybe it's just way too easy and they just don't want to have a power nap or something? I don't know what it is, but, you know, or maybe it's just not worthwhile because Chromebooks aren't as popular as they first started out to be. They're a dime a dozen for sale on the used market. Nobody even wants these things anymore for the most part. So, yeah, anyways. Besides, nothing beats a real computer, but that's a whole other story. In the meantime, hopefully this helped you out with some info, and I will keep you up to date on the whole USB load thing if we can bypass that way. In the meantime, see ya.